签名学子行。
而因为 Prada 的恶魔而非常出名的 Vogue 的总编辑，今年也出席了一场演讲会。那么这场演讲会呢，他来到的是英国的牛津大学。在牛津大学今年的毕业典礼里头，他给底下的学子安娜温图，他给底下的学子最重要的建议，不是当时你想象中什么我要很努力工作而已，他告诉他们不要在乎做任何的杂事跟小事，不要小看这些小事，什么事情你都可以做，你都可以蹲下来弄脏你的手，然后不要觉得说哦，我只要专业做一件事情，不是的，你必须什么东西都学会，什么东西都摸会了。他称赞他自己过去是如何人生过来之外，回忆之外，他特别称赞了 Burberry 的总监，也是如此才爬到他的位置。他告诉所有底下的学生们，如果你这个时候踏出校园，你就开始觉得你高人一等，你是牛津大学毕业的，很多事情你觉得委屈了你这样的人永远不会成功。
I'm with the internationally renowned editor-in-chief of American Vogue, Anna Wintour.
Anna Wintour is the editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, a Bible for the fashion world.
The single most important figure in the $300 billion global fashion industry.
She is watched more closely than the movie stars or the runway.
Well, this week it was pretty cold, like I said.
她像女王一般，170公分高挑身材，永远顶着爸爸头。她是安娜温图，美国版 Vogue 杂志总编辑。65岁，时尚界30年的传奇人物。你或许发现了，他是电影《穿着 Prada 的恶魔》的原型 ，Celebrity Culture 的开启者。但世人诛皮，能一窥他冷酷犀利、呼风唤雨背后的生命哲学。
Hello, I'm Anna, and I've been told to talk to you for 20 minutes about my career and to give you some advice. And then I'm going to take some highly intelligent questions, which I doubt that I'll be able to answer.
一反常态的温暖神情，安娜在巴伦提诺黑底碎花洋装和 Burberry 小羊皮外套的靓丽中，忘了她是65岁的时尚女王。
Please don't become over-specialized. Be intellectually free. Try lots and lots of different things. Both my parents went to Cambridge, so obviously deeply intimidated, I left school at 16 and went straight to work. It's a path I sometimes regret, especially seeing my own children make friends for life at university and seeing how incredibly important that time was to them for figuring things out. My own son Charlie came up to Oxford to study modern history, thinking maybe he would be a journalist or an economist. 4 years later, he realized that his real love was medicine. So don't get me wrong, Charlie had a great time at Oxford. And today, reading the evaluations he receives from medical school, I noticed that one of the things his professors all mention is how literary and how well written all his research material is. So I don't for a second begrudge him the time he had here. I think how lucky he was. He came back from Oxford a very different young man from when he left. He really matured and found out what he wanted to do with his life. And that's obviously what's so amazing about university, discovering opportunities, meeting different people, and opening your eyes to all kinds of paths. In some ways, the digital realm of Condé Nast reminds me a lot of my days working in the 1970s at Harper's and Queen in London. Like today, back then you had to do everything. In my case, find the clothes, go on the shoots, write the captions, check the prices. You had to be self-sufficient. There were not departments. Thanks to my own English training, I arrived at New York in a New York magazine in my early days in Manhattan, knowing how to do a little bit of everything. The men who ran the magazine weren't that familiar with fashion, and they were just so relieved when they realized that I could chat with the designers, talk to the advertisers, produce shoots, write and edit. I was a one-woman show. My point being that when you understand the nuts and bolts of how something works, in my case a magazine, in the case of all the young people I hire today, it's probably an iPhone 6. It makes you better at what you're doing rather than just being good at one thing. People who are very narrow in their focus are really frustrating.
谈自己的过去，安娜让年轻学生看见，一位大胆无畏、热情创意、吃苦耐劳的通才女王，她的价值从何而来？而谈未来，安娜说：“你需要有观点。”
One of the things I always look for, whether it's in a collection or a piece of writing or a photograph or a job candidate, is a point of view. My advice to you is to trust and to cultivate your taste. This is a real moment in our culture when your opinion matters. Everybody wants to know how you work, what you like, how you think, because there is, for the first time in decades, a true generation gap. A lot of people in the positions of authority, decision makers, want to reach your generation because they understand how powerful it is that you're communicating through social networks in such a vital way. If you like something, tweet something, put it up on Instagram, that's an incredible tool. And it's one that influencers all over the world want to harness. So that said, you don't want to spend your entire life clicking and liking. I'm struck these days by how often people come up to me and ask to take a photograph, instead of shaking hands, meeting one's eyes, and actually having a conversation. Even at the shows today, people are so busy documenting with their iPads the moment, they forget to actually look at the clothes right in front of them. Social media is great, but don't let it become a substitute for living.
一语道破时下年轻人的盲点。最后，安娜卸下光环，坦然地说失败。她说：“每个人一生至少应该被开除一次。我也曾因犯错被炒鱿鱼，但是失败的经验很重要。”
It is better to work with the best, to learn from the best, and to have the freedom to try various things, make mistakes, and perhaps to pivot, to use a word favored by Silicon Valley types. Christopher Bailey is, for me, a role model for how to have a fashion career today. He's both the CEO and creative director of Burberry, which is an unprecedented career achievement in fashion. He does everything, from design to branding to social strategy to budgets to finding the next music sensation to play at his show. To get to that place, and at such a young age, he worked for Donna Karan and Tom Ford, among others. He took a quiet but steady route to the top. And the other thing that I would add about Christopher is that he has never sought fame. To be famous these days, with no grounding and no substance, is not especially difficult. I urge you instead to seek to be relevant, agile, and educated.
Anna 温图对顶尖而优秀的牛津大学学生说 ：“The more you do, the more you can do。”一反当代社会的现实和冷漠，安娜说：“你必须设法把想做的事做好。”那是宽阔的格局和谦卑的态度。
而接着我们要为大家播出的是2009年在 New Orleans 这个地方的杜兰大学迎来了